it kind of, in a way, is everything you need to know about Ella Fitzgerald, although she did such incredible things after that. But it had all the, it already at an early age had all the nuances and swing and perfect pitch and everything else that we've been talking about here today. I'll share a story, a little anecdote with you if you'll be patient, and it'll sound like I've gone off on a tangent, but there really is a point to this. It's a stress, it's my way of stressing the iconic importance of Ella Fitzgerald, as we're all discussing this weekend. I had the good fortune to be with Sarah Vaughan for a couple of years before I joined Ella. And one year with Sarah, we went to Bermuda and performed there, I think, a weekend, maybe in a lovely hotel in Bermuda. And the day of the opening night, we had the usual sound check and rehearsal that afternoon, and the producer of the show had invited TV and radio and people and journalists in to have a Q&A with Sass. And so they were there, and the very first question that they asked Sarah, this was all kind of impromptu, just sitting around, was a young kind of cub reporter woman that I think was fairly new to the business, and her first question to Sarah was, "Miss Vaughan, do you really know Ella Fitzgerald?" I mean, so I hope that makes my point.
Could you tell us a little bit about your years with Ella and some of the high points? I think you went to Radio City with her. Could you tell us about your years with Ella and some of the high points? Could you tell us about some of the years with Ella? Just sort of give us an overview.
Sorry, I'm a little weak in one ear with my hearing, so
it's hard to hear it,
yeah. Well, you know, I was with her for 4 years, and it was just an amazing experience for me, as it would be for any pianist. And she was absolutely wonderful to work with. She never ever said anything to me about how to play, how she'd like me to do something or do that. Norman Granz called me for the job, and I assume he had heard me maybe when I was with Sarah and in different contexts. And so I felt like in a way, I felt like I was qualified to be there because I'd already had quite a bit of experience and done a lot of accompanying June Christie and Ethel Ennis and a whole bunch of great singers over the years. But, and Ella never ever said a word, but when we first went to work, the first couple or 3 concerts, she didn't say anything, but she would occasionally look over at kind of my way, not make eye contact, but she'd look over my way and kind of make a sign like she was having trouble hearing or something wasn't quite right. And so after and it happened several times over a course of 3 or 4 nights when I first started with her. And Keeter Betts was the longtime bassist with Ella, as you know, and Bobby Durham was the drummer most of the time. And so I finally, after about the 3rd night of that, I asked Keeter, I said, "Keeter, something's bothering Ella, and she hasn't said a word, but something doesn't feel right." And this was on kind of the medium and up tempos, not ballads. She seemed to like what was happening as far as the ballads. But there was something on anything, the more tempos. And so Keeter said, "Well, since you asked, I'll tell you. You have to understand that Ella came up with big bands, Chick Webb, and she wants to hear a big band behind her, even though if it's just a trio. She doesn't want to hear. See, I had been with Sass, who was more of a bebop singer from the get-go, really, and I used to play what I thought was appropriate for her as far as filling. And Keeter said, you got to just stay away from all that stuff. What Ella wants to hear is some rock solid, punchy rhythm, and like a big band would sound, like a brass band with saxes and all. And I don't know whether Richard had that same experience or he would agree with me or not, but at least by the time I was with her. So I listened very seriously to Keeter and never had a problem after that.
You never had another look. You never had another ear look. That must have made you feel better.
Yeah.
Did you want to say
I had a great time with Ella, but when I first started with her, she had this habit of turning around, looking at the rhythm section, but we didn't understand whether was something wrong, or she didn't like we were playing too loud or what. But she finally told me what was wrong, and that wasn't so good. No. She had a problem with the drummer. She said he didn't swing. I have to have swing. And I said, is that all? She said, yes. I said, well, we'll try and get it together a little better. Otherwise, you may have to make some changes in the drum department. And that's all I could tell her. It was up to her. So she did. But that was several weeks later, of course, and we did pretty well, I think, in spite of that. But that's the sort of thing you can go through with a lot of different singers. Everybody has their own idea of what the time is and this and that. So you try to do the best you can, but she did get rid of the drummer, I must say. Unfortunately for him, but that's the way she wanted it, so we all understood. So that was that. Everybody doesn't have the same idea as to how to swing. What does swing mean? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've worked with so many singers that I can just about understand what they have in mind, usually, how they want to feel it. Don't play too much. Don't play more. You're not playing enough. Bash it, hit it. So I've gone through all of that, and most of the piano players that I know of have also. It's not easy. It's not easy, but you really have to understand the feel of the particular vocalist and what they have in mind. And it's good if you've heard them sing before with somebody else playing. That makes a lot of difference. So when I go out to hear groups, I'd always sit and listen the way the pianist is playing, or the drummer, or whoever is playing behind the singer. Sometimes they don't know what they want. They don't know how to explain what the feel they want. They want shuffle rhythm, this, that. And you have to understand what they mean somehow, okay? That's part of the job.
Okay, we're going to ask for another performance from Mike Wofford, who has agreed to play How High the Moon.
Oh, okay.